Okay, I want to put a video on for the osmosis lab because it could be a little bit confusing, and I wanted to try to clear up a few things um, for you. First thing you need to do is to get your dialysis tubing out, and you're going to cut a strip, a 20 centimeter strip in that, and you're going to fill a beaker up with water. Distilled water is best, and you're going to soak that in there. This kind of feels like plastic right now, but as it soaks, it will loosen up and become more pliable. Okay, in the meantime, you're also going to need 4 glucose test strips, a couple of plastic pipettes, your Lugol's solution, starch solution, and 15% glucose solution. This starch solution is 1%. That might come in handy later on. Okay, so uh, the 4 things you need to worry about as far as osmosis and diffusion are the water, the Lugol solution, the glucose, and the starch. Okay, you're going to put inside this dialysis tubing, inside this bag, you're going to put glucose and starch. In the beaker, you are going to put Lugol solution, and obviously there's water there. Okay, and what we want to see is which stuff moves across the membrane and what doesn't. The way you're going to know if the glucose did is you're going to test it with a test strip. You put the test strip in whatever it is, the water or the other solution, and if there's any color change, then glucose is present. The darker the color, the more glucose, but that doesn't matter, just whether there's a color change or not. If Lugol solution in starch meet, then there's a color change there that occurs that you need to be aware of. So wherever there's that color change, then starch is present. Okay, so what you need to do is first take your dialysis tubing. Now you can see it's kind of smushy, and you need to tie a knot in one end so that it doesn't leak. You're going to make a little bag. Okay, try to get the knot down at the end as far as you can. Okay, so I have that. Oops. Then you're going to leave the other end open. And so you can open this like opening a trash bag. So if you take your pipette, you can kind of peel it away. Okay, like such. We'll get to that in a minute. Okay, so what you're going to do now is you're going to take your 15% glucose, you're going to take one of your strips, and you're going to dip it in there. Just quickly dip it in, bring it back out, let it sit for 60 seconds. Any color change means there's glucose there. It should change color because it says there's glucose, but we're just proving that it's there. Okay, then you're going to take your pipette, and you're going to put 6 milliliters of glucose solution up to that line right there, and it's marked. It says 3 milliliters. So we're going to do that twice or thereabouts. You just need to put the same amount of glucose and the same amount of starch in there. That's important, that we have equal amounts. You want to try not to get any on the outside of the bag. That's kind of important too. It's really important actually. Okay, so I now have glucose in the bag. Next we're going to do starch. You need to shake this up. This is a 1% starch solution. You can use the pipette you just had and kind of rinse it out a couple of times, and then you can use the same one there. And you're going to do the same thing. You're going to 6 milliliters into the bag. Okay. And so you should have a bag that kind of looks like this. Now you're going to tie a knot at the end of this. If you have some forceps or tweezer, the blue forceps might help you grab the end of that. You can also use string to tie this if you need to. If you put your forceps up through there like that and grab that, you can make that knot. And now you have a little bag. Kind of mix it up like that. Okay, set that aside. Now you're going to take your Lugol solution in a different pipette. This will stain your clothes, so don't get it on you. So you're going to put 1 milliliter of Lugols, which there's a 1 milliliter mark, into your water. Okay, like such. Use that pipette to stir it up. Kind of looks like weak iced tea. And you can see that's already stained that, so you're going to throw that away. You're going to take a glucose test strip, dip it in there to look for the presence of glucose. Again, any color change, you should not see a color change there due to glucose. You might see a little bit because of the Lugols. Alright, so now I'm going to spill these if I don't close them. So now what you're going to do, so thus far you've determined whether there is starch and glucose in here. There is not glucose in here, but there is Lugols and water. There's also water in here. Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to take this, put it into the beaker, and let it sit for 30 minutes. On the website, I gave you a few pieces of information you need to know. One is that when Lugols meets starch, there's a distinctive color change. So remember, the way we're determining whether there's glucose present or not is by using the glucose test strips. And after 30 minutes, you're going to test the water again in the beaker, and you're going to cut a little hole and test inside the bag to see if there's glucose there. The presence of starch is going to be determined about as far as whether there is that color change when starch meets Lugols. There's a distinct color change. Now, what I have had a problem with, and if you get the starch on the outside of the bag, which is, if that happens before you put the bag in the water, just rinse it off in some distilled water and then put it in the bag. What will happen, what has happened in the past is there hasn't been a distinct enough color change for this to occur in the 30 minutes, and so it was a little confusing. Be sure to wait the full 30 minutes, and if the color change is just inside the bag, that means there's only starch inside the bag. If there's color change outside the bag, then the starch is outside the bag. If it's both, then it's in both places. So this looks like it's going to work pretty well. So we'll go a few more seconds. Obviously, this hasn't been 30 minutes, and I'm not going to sit here for 30 minutes and you watch me watch this. But I just wanted to make sure that the stuff in your kit was going to work, and it looks like it is. So just a few more minutes, and I'll show you what I have. As far as the photo you need to send me, the beaker and the bag after sitting for 30 minutes, and you need to show me the glucose test strip. I forget if I said in the beaker in the bag after 30 minutes. Whatever is on the instructions is what you need to send me. Okay, so I'm going to show you this. Again, you need to let it sit. This has only been like, what, 2 or 3 minutes. You need to let it sit for 30 before taking your photo and answering your questions. But you need to record the things that I tell you to record on the instructions. So here's what it looks like after just a few minutes. Okay, and there's what the beaker looks like. So that's how that experiment is supposed to work. If you have any questions, let me know. Either send me an email, or I prefer on the discussion board so that I can answer it for everybody. And good luck.